This Sun-Gazette video coverage is proudly sponsored by Woodlands Bank.
All right, welcome back to Sports Talk. We're talking with the doctor, Chris Masse, as usual, breaking down football. So in this installment, we're going to talk about Jersey Shore, Muncy, Montgomery, and Hughesville and their games last week. Let's start with Jersey Shore, Masse. They came up with a 14-10 win last week at home against Delaware Valley. A good Delaware Valley team. Neither team scored in the second half. Just kind of that traditional Jersey Shore hunker-down defense, and it came up big with the win in a really, really tight game.
Yeah, I mean, to be 2-0 after playing Dallas and Delaware Valley in your first two games, that's a nice achievement. I didn't think they would be 2-0 after these first two games. Dallas was 15-0 going into the state final last year. Delaware Valley's won 7 straight district titles at the 6 and 5A levels. So these are two great wins, and like you said, the defense just wouldn't let them lose against Delaware Valley. The Warriors got some drives going in the second half. Evan Snyder recovered a fumble. Elijah Jordan had a pick. I think Bo Sechrist had a huge play at the end of the game. Slate Sechrist was a monster up front. So it's these first two wins are, just typical Jersey Shore football. It's why they've built the program that they have over the last decade. They can find ways to win hard-fought games against strong competition, and they've certainly done it here the first 2 weeks, and it doesn't get any easier. Now they got Sealands Grove coming up this week.
Yep. That first game against Dallas, they had to rally and come back in that one. I think they came back from 21 down, I believe it was, or 27.
21-7?
Yeah. So they had to rally in that one, and then this week, they're in it the whole time, but it's a real tight game where you don't really have no room for errors or mistakes in that one. So I think that kind of showed just early on, those two games kind of tested them in two different ways. Yeah. And they kind of, Gravish had his team ready and responded both times, and here we are at 2-0.
Yeah, and it's 2 wins, 2 different ways, kind of an offensive game against Dallas. And it started off that way against Delaware Valley, but then it turns into a stalemate. And either way, if they've got to score late to win games, they've shown they can do it. If they have to make the big stops in the second half, they've shown they can do that too. And that's only going to help them going forward. They have this tough schedule, but all these first 2 games and the ones coming up are just going to prepare them so well for the playoffs and going to help them try it. The big, Jersey Shore crossed that threshold a long time ago where they expect to go deep into the playoffs, and this schedule and games like these first 2 can only help them try to get to the goals they want to achieve.
Yep, and Elijah Jordan, 149 yards and a touchdown. I think he's been playing very well these first 2 games for Jersey Shore and helping that offense move the ball, pick up those key first downs, and kind of sustain drives.
And this is his first year at quarterback. He hasn't played it since junior high, but he was a 3-year starter at running back, and he's a leader. He's like his brother Brady was kind of the same way. He was a really good running back as a sophomore, and then he became a dynamic dual threat quarterback his last 2 years, and Elijah's got that same kind of ability. He can hurt a defense in a lot of different ways, and he's played in a ton of big games every season he's been there. So to your point, these first 2 games, these moments aren't too big for him. This is what he's been a part of for 4 years now.
Yeah. Hughesville, with a huge 42-6 win last week against Towanda, I think the big story of the game is just Blake Davis at quarterback, 12 for 20, 286, and 5 touchdowns. If you had a high school fantasy league, he would have picked you up a lot of points.
In the first half alone, he had 4 TDs.
But yeah, just heck of an effort from him in that one to kind of just to air it out for Hughesville and get them that win.
Yeah, and he's another first-year starter at quarterback, but he's gotten some playing time here and there the last 3 years. And Coach Howard Rainey was excited about him in the preseason. He said he's done really well at the JV level now. It's if you can translate that success to the varsity level, they can be in good shape. And spoiler alert, it looks like he's translating it to the varsity level pretty well. And that's a great sign. I saw him against Montgomery in week 1, and the numbers obviously weren't what they were against Towanda, but you saw the foundation for a pretty good signal caller. He made some good moves. He did a good job buying time in that game and making throws, keeping his eyes downfield. So he's not necessarily a dual threat quarterback, but he's a guy who can use his feet to make plays in the passing game by giving himself some time and reading the field well. Looks like he'll be a steady field general for them.
Yeah, and Spartans had 339 yards of offense. They just seem to do everything well against Towanda and being able to for their offense to succeed. And I think that's for a team like for Hughesville, I think that's a good, I guess, barometer early on of what you can do as an offense against teams going forward.
Yeah, especially against the Towanda team that beat them last year, to come out and hammer them right away. And I think they had the mercy rule by halftime.
Yep.
And Connor Knight's having a fantastic season. He's been one of the best cornerbacks in the area for the last few years, and now he's developing into one of the best receivers, and that's 2 straight 100-yard games. So he's becoming a threat. The running game really hasn't got on track yet, but I think once they get that rolling behind a pretty big and experienced offensive line, they could be really dangerous.
Mm-hmm. Muncy with a shutout win this week, 49-0 against Wellsboro. Austin Johnson with a huge second quarter, had 3 of the team's 4 touchdowns to make it a 35-0 game and kind of pretty much put that one away early. Just talk about Austin Johnson, just what he means for that team's offense on the ground.
He means a lot. He's a punishing runner, but he's got speed too, and he's one of those guys. Like I said in the previous segment, like Christian Banks, he can wear on you when you've been trying to tackle him for 3 quarters. In the fourth quarter, it seems to get harder to bring a guy like that down. But he can run over you, but he can also run around you. I was impressed in the opener at Warrior Run. He had some really nice moves in the open field that I didn't see from him in the past. So he's been a big-time playmaker since his first game as a high school player. He's going for his 4th 1,000-yard season, but I think he's also gotten better each season. And when you have a horse like that in the backfield, that is a huge – it opens up opportunities for other people too, because you got to focus so much attention on him. And then you got a home run hitter like Landon Wammer that can do damage, and you got weapons in the passing game like Paxton Durr, Styles Iyer at quarterback. So having Austin Johnson sets all those other playmakers up to be able to do what they do.
They pitched the shutout 49-0. So I think also for Muncy, Sean Tetra has to be happy with that defensive effort to get that 0 on the scoreboard, get a shutout, and to do that at home as well.
Yeah, and I think for the defense, they were. I assume they were in a bad mood going into the Wellsboro game after losing a 7-point fourth quarter lead at Warrior Run. So I think for them to regroup, refocus, and come out and have a dominant performance is really good for them. And I think it shows too that they probably didn't let what happened in the fourth quarter against Warrior Run bleed into another week. They shored things up and came back strong and understood that it stinks to lose, but if you learn from that, it can make them a better team going forward. And early indications are that it is making them a better team.
Yeah, yep. Montgomery came up with a tough loss. Warrior Run beat them 35-7. Once again, Colby LeBaron for the defenders with the big game, had 3 touchdowns and helped put that one away. Obviously, you saw in week 1 when they played Muncy, he's just a heck of a back that can change the complex of a game.
He's a hard-nosed runner. He's going to fight for every yard he gets, and he doesn't go down easy. He's a really good linebacker, and he kind of brings that linebacker mentality to the backfield. And I think especially he's really good in short yardage situations. He's shown that the first 2 weeks, and it opens up their passing game. James Kiefer has been really good in his first 2 varsity starts. And then you have Sam Hall at receiver, who's a game changer. So they all kind of complement each other. And I think Colby LeBaron running the ball the way he is early, and Eli Butler too in the opener against Muncy, that's feeding the passing game and vice versa. And it's given them a tough offense to stop right now.
And I think if you're Montgomery, you had to know coming into that one that was going to be a tough team to kind of slow down and limit. But obviously there's positives for Montgomery that you can take away from that game moving forward.
Yeah, I mean, I think they hung in pretty well for most of the game. They were down, I think it was 20-0 in the third quarter, which considering what Warrior Run did against Muncy, I thought that was a pretty good showing for a young Montgomery team, that they were able to hang in there and compete with Warrior Run and kind of contain them. And a couple of big plays got them in the second half that put the game out of reach. But I think the game against Hughesville in the opener looks really good now, considering what Hughesville did last week against Towanda. So I like what Montgomery's building on defense a lot. I think I like their offensive line too, and I think these first two games against tough teams in Hughesville and Warrior Run will serve them well as they go forward and get into the meat of their in the NTL2 schedule. They play Sarah this week, and I think playing these two tough teams to open the season could pay some big dividends there.
All right, well, that'll do us for this installment. When we come back, we're going to break down week 3 with our 17 area teams.